Happy opening day, everybody, and welcome on into the first episode of Pregame My Take right here on BigPlay.com with a brand new show for you guys. Today is Friday, July 24th, and who thought that Cleveland Indians baseball in general, would finally be here. Now, usually Pregame My Take is going to go live on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Today, obviously, a little bit different circumstances. Had to pre-record our special guest interview today with Adam Plutko. Super excited for you guys to check that out. But usually, Wednesday nights, 8 p.m., right here at Pregame My Take, at BigPlay.com. Follow me on Twitter at NickPedone12, hanging out with you guys. So we're going to be joined, like I said tonight, by Cleveland Indians right-handed pitcher Adam Plutko. Who knows? Maybe we could even see him in action tonight. We're going to get you guys ready for the Cleveland Indians home opener, talk about some new potential names, and fill you in on what's happening in and around the NBA bubble. But first, Pregame My Take is presented by BigPlay.com. Big Play is your home for live sports talk just about every night of the week. You're going to want to check out all of our great shows like Moving the Chains with Peyton Hillis, as well as the Big Play Reflog Show with Chris McNeil. Go follow him on Twitter. That's the best place to go, at BigPlay_com, to never miss a show. So without further ado, let's get into it. Tonight, 7:10 first pitch. Royals are in town to play our home team, Cleveland Indians. Did you guys ever think there'd be a season? Tweet the show at Pregame My Take. Man, we'll get into some of this with Adam Plutko, guys, but I didn't know if we were ever going to get to this point, to where we're at right now. It was looking ugly with the when and where tweets. I didn't know if there would be a season, and a lot of people were down on the players. A lot of people were down on the owners, but now we're finally here, and I didn't think it was going to happen, truthfully. We'll get into a lot more with that with Adam Plutko, but what I wanted to get into first is, why are people so down and why are people so out on the Indians, right? So I feel like there's a handful of things, and that's first and foremost is success, right? The Cleveland Indians have had a lot of success over the last who knows how many years. They actually lead the American League in wins since 2013 when Terry Francona became manager. Super impressive? I'd say so. But why are the fans so whiny? You don't see the same fans whining about the Browns. You do see a little bit with the Cavs now that LeBron's gone. But this city is faithful to the Browns through and through, whether the team's bad, whether the team's good, or anywhere in between. Fails to live up to expectations. Well, the Cleveland Indians, in my opinion, have met expectations for the last how many years under Terry Francona. We've made the playoffs just about every year. We've been to a World Series. We fell one game short of winning the whole thing in 2016. Now, leave how that all went down for another day and Game 7 and all the, had they just handled their business, people would feel a lot differently about the situation. But now you have the thought starting to creep into people's head, right? Well, they're not going to play Lindor, especially after the Mookie Betts trade. Could this be the window closing? We saw a rough offseason when they got rid of Corey Kluber. Could Mike Clevenger be next? It's so hard for teams to buy into, or for fans to buy into, a team that's not going to keep around their favorite guys, their homegrown guys. Because let's face it, Cleveland baseball has been Francisco Lindor for the last how many years? We're just used to it at this point, and I think that's something that's going to be different. And even without Frankie Lindor is what I want to tell Tribe fans tonight, no matter how this 60-game sprint goes. And we're going to get into all of it with Adam Plutko in terms of the sprint and the Tribe's approach to that. You got to just take it one day at a time. You got to take it with a grain of salt. And I hate to say this, what Paul Dolan said was kind of right. In a sense, right? Don't we all as fans just have to enjoy it? Isn't that what sports are kind of all about? Even though the Browns put us through how much misery every year, we still sit down in front of our TVs, or for the very faithful season ticket holders out there, you still truck on over to First Energy Stadium through the snow and watch the Browns. And while we complain about it, because that's what makes fans fans, the word fans comes from the bigger word fanatics, because we're fanatical about our teams. Why is that not the same with the Cleveland Indians, who have given this city so much to cheer for and so much to be optimistic about for so long. Again, you could tweet me at NickPadone12, tweet the show at PadoneMyTake if you have anything to chime in about. But opening day, obviously here, the lineup is set, right? Tito announced the lineup. We're going with Shane Bieber, followed by Mike Clevenger, Carlos Carrasco, Aaron Savali, and Zach Plesac will be the 5. I think that's enough. The Tribe year in and year out piggyback on good pitching. And good pitching is important. We've seen that. And we'll talk about that with Adam Plutko here in just a few minutes. But what people don't understand is in a 60-game sprint, these games are going to roll. Tonight's game against the Kansas City Royals is a big game because there's only 60 of them. There's not 100 games where, if we fall asleep against the Royals, like which sometimes happened last year, and I want to assure fans that that's how the team missed the playoffs last year. That can't happen anymore. And that's why I'm so confident in this pitching staff, especially because the guys at the end of the rotation got a little bit of action last year when it mattered most. Guys like Aaron Savali, Zach Plesac, they had to play when the lights were the brightest, folks. And they're going to be in here ready for this upcoming season. I know I'm in here and ready for this upcoming season. And that's what makes me so much more uncertain, I guess, as to why Tribe fans are so down and out about the team all the time. Is it the logo stuff? Are you guys still that pressed about that? Is it the team name? Are you guys still that upset about that? And we're going to get into some of that stuff later, rest assured. But to me, you cheer for the team on the name on the front, not the back. So whenever the Cleveland Indians or the Cleveland Spiders or the Cleveland Baseball Club goes out, there still needs to be a little bit more excitement, I don't think. Like today's opening day, I was out and about, socially distancing, wearing my mask all day. I'm wearing my Tribe stuff. You guys could see it right here. Not hiding it. I didn't have a hat on today because the quarantine cut did me well. But I'm wearing my Tribe stuff. Not that many people wearing their Tribe stuff. Think about now, Cleveland Browns opening week. Opening week, not opening day, the week before the Browns play. You see Brown stuff everywhere, whether it's old Brown stuff, new Baker Mayfield jerseys. You see it everywhere. So people are so down and out about the Cleveland Indians, and I think a lot of it has to do with ownership and with the Francisco Lindor stuff and just the downright uncertainty regarding all that, and I feel you. I hear you. I myself am a fan, and I'm going to be devastated just like all of you. But we're looking at a division this year with the Chicago White Sox, who are young. They're good, and a lot of people are hyping them up nationally because they got some good young dudes that could play. But in a 60-game sprint, do they have the pitching to keep up with the Tribe? Not sure. Do the Minnesota Twins, who lost all those dudes that they had on one-year deals, could they keep up with the Tribe? Not sure. We do have Frankie Lindor for this year. We do have Jose Ramirez for this year, Mike Clevenger for this year. Don't be down and out about this team and then hop on the bandwagon later in the postseason when sports are going to be at their greatest. You're going to have the NBA Finals. The news just broke right before we went on air. That's why I was a little late getting this show up, is we are going to have an NFL season come this fall. The players just agreed on it. As long as everything goes well health-wise, we're going to have an NBA season. October, you're looking at the finals. MLB World Series is going to be then as well. Don't hop on the bandwagon then when things are colluded. Get into it now when you can get excited for this team and follow them throughout their whole journey. Don't just sit there and jump on when everybody else does. And there's going to be no fun in that, right? The Cavs, out of it. You could watch the NBA bubble for LeBron, and a lot of people will. And Zion, if he comes back to the bubble, and see what happens and what shakes out with that. There's no shame in that. But the Cleveland Indians are your hometown team that's on right now. We've been begging for sports. We've been longing for it. And I'm out and about today wearing my mask, and I don't see anybody in their Tribe gear. I don't see any Tribe masks. I don't see any Tribe hats. I don't see any jerseys. Is that the issue? Are you not wearing your Lindor jersey because you're afraid that he might leave? I'm wearing my Jose jersey, but I have a Lindor one right upstairs. Best believe it, guys. So we need to all buy into this team just a tad bit more because I think they've earned our respect, and we're not giving that to them as a city. We don't hear enough about the Tribe as a city. And I don't know why that is. And I want you to tweet that reason to me on Twitter at NickPadone12. So just here in a second, we are going to be live with Indians right-handed pitcher Adam Plutko. It was announced that he will start the season out of the bullpen. In my personal opinion, another good move by Terry Francona and the Tribe. Not to be, man, my fandom's really showing, huh? My red and blue are really bleeding here. But another good move by the Tribe, right? You have a guy that is a fourth or fifth starter on any other team coming out of your bullpen in, long relief situations. That's important. You also have Adam Simber coming back, the good old underhander, Brad Hand, Nick Whitgren, James Kanachak, huh? Did you hear about this guy today? Warms up to the Wild Thing music, the Ricky Vaughn, Major League, Charlie Sheen music. Changed his number today to 99. Does this guy get us, or does this guy get us? We got good old Oliver Perez returning from last year, Cam Hill, Dominic Leone. I said Simber already, Phil Maton, and Adam Plutko, who will join the show right now. Let's go. Adam Plutko, here we go. Joining me now on the Big Play Hotline is a 2013 College World Series champion, the College World Series 2013 MVP, and current right-hand pitcher for the Cleveland Indians. Ladies and gentlemen, joining the show, Adam Plutko. Adam, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me, how's the summer camp been? Obviously kind of different than the springtime. How's that been?
Yeah, I've been saying the whole time, it's just kind of rearranged more than anything. The weight room's in a different place than a normal weight room. Our lockers are kind of out of place, but once you step out on the field, it's normal baseball. So it's more rearranged than different. I'm sure I'd have a lot of teammates who disagree with me, but that's my point of view on it.
So you debuted with the Tribe in 2016. Let me ask you this now, get it out of the way. Are you over the rain delay yet?
Yeah, it's for sure over it.
All right, good. So speaking of that debut, it's a crazy, interesting, bizarre story that you actually didn't answer the phone call when the Tribe first called. I want you to walk me through that whole day and what that was like.
So I was at a buddy's wedding. I was in the wedding. I was a groomsman, and that was the day Cookie broke his hand. Ian Kinsler hit a shot back at Cookie, and it broke his hand. Obviously, being in the wedding, I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't watching baseball, and quite frankly, I just got told that I wasn't going to the big leagues, so I didn't want anything to do with baseball. And then all of a sudden, I got a phone call from a front office member, and I genuinely thought it was just some exit interview on the season, and it ended up being the call up. So I put it through to voicemail the first time, just thinking it was an exit interview or whatever, and turns out that was my call to the big leagues that I put to voicemail.
So what's that feeling like? Like, is it kind of like panic? Is it shock when you get that call that it's finally time to go up? Like, take me through the feeling that goes on in here.
Yeah, it was shock, panic, all at the same time, excitement. I was with all my high school buddies. That's whose wedding it was. So to kind of be with them and then to have that journey kind of all happen at the same time, it was pretty crazy. And so we were in California. All my baseball gear was in Texas, so they booked me a layover in Texas so I could go grab my baseball gear, check back in, and then go to Cleveland from there.
So fast forward to this year, you guys scared the pants off of me a couple months ago with the whole when and where tweets, but now today baseball is finally back. How glad are you that it's back?
Very glad. It was messy. It was ugly at times, the negotiations, but it was all to get here, and it was all to make sure that we could play baseball safely. And as you can see from all the intake testing and all the monitoring, I think we have less than 100 positives. So it was really important that we nailed down the health and safety protocols and the monetary stuff. We were going to come to an agreement. It was best for everybody. So it was just going to take time, and that's exactly what happened. And now I'm glad that we did take the time, because look at the NBA and the NFL with their health and safety protocols. It really seems like they're struggling more than we will because we took so much time on it.
Right, for sure. So during the pandemic, obviously it was tough time for everybody, and it still is. You launched the Plutko Family Partners to give kind of a helping hand here in the Cleveland area. You're not even from here. You're from Texas, like you said. How'd that all get started?
We were out on a walk, my wife and I, with my son, and we're just kind of thinking through who had left the team. And Corey Kluber did a whole lot uh, with his Corey Kluber Foundation, Kluber Family Foundation. So we were just kind of thinking about it, and we felt like there was a opportunity, there's a hole to be missed, or there's a hole now in Cleveland, and watching the news and seeing all the how bad COVID-19 was, especially in places like New York and Ohio, really from the start, when COVID really started to outbreak in the states. So we just felt like there's stuff that we can do, and so we made the surgical masks for the Cleveland Food Bank, which was pretty awesome. I didn't know that the Cleveland National Guard wasn't actually distributed any masks at all. So the fact that they were wearing our masks that we had made, it was pretty exciting. And then we partnered with Buffalo Wild Wings, and that was another exciting thing. And I think we provided like 500 meals and gift certificates to different frontline workers. So all in all, it was still a hit. We still have um, some things in the pipeline that we're working towards. So it'll be good.
Thank you for doing that for our city. That's great. So many people are calling this season the 60-game sprint, right? We hear that over and over and over. You guys have one of the deepest pitching staffs in the league. Do you think that helps the Indians, and how so?
Yeah, I think it does. It's going to be much more of a college style season, if you will. So every game is going to mean a lot more. If you drop 2 games in August to a team that's not great, you kind of look at it like, oh well, we'll get them tomorrow, kind of thing. But now with how the 60 games is going to go, every game matters. So you're going to see much more postseason style baseball from the start, and that's what you see in college baseball. Like you said, our pitching is so deep that in postseason baseball and college baseball, pitching and defense matters more than hitting ever will. So I think we have a real advantage with our pitching and defense. And to be honest, watching our lineup swing at the last couple games against the Pirates, I'm pretty excited to see that as well.
So speaking about the pitching, what is it about the Cleveland Indians organization that year in and year out constantly produces dudes that could just go out there and compete? Like you said, we saw it with Kluber, who I know is kind of a big influence on you. What is it about the Indians pipeline that produces such good pitching talent?
It's all about development. They get to us early. They kind of explain what's going to be best for us, and show us why it's going to be best for us. I think that's a common misconception in coaching is that players will just follow you blindly. Players want to be a part of the process as well. So if you're telling me that my curveball is going to play well, show me why. Show me data that says it is going to play well, because I'm not just going to blindly start throwing curveballs if I don't personally think it's going to work. So
Right.
they back up what they say with numbers and with data, so that we all feel more comfortable. And we're the only team in Major League Baseball, I believe, that hasn't had a free agent starting pitcher pitch for us since 2015. I think Bruce Chen was the last one that pitched for the Cleveland Indians that wasn't either traded or developed by the Cleveland Indians. So that's a pretty phenomenal feat right there.
So it's been announced that you'll be starting the season in the bullpen for the Tribe. Tito said when he met with the media that nobody takes this kind of news better than you. What's your approach like for coming out of the bullpen versus your normal kind of starting role?
Yeah, I'm still diving into that. Like I said, into the numbers and the data. A couple guys I'm looking at: Ross Stripling for the Dodgers. He's a guy that started a whole lot and relieved a whole lot. The term would be like a swingman, if you will. Then there's Brad Peacock with the Astros and Colin McHugh with the Astros, who all kind of have done both, coming out of the pen and starting, and just looking at pitch usages and how things change for them between the two, if hitters became more aggressive out of the bullpen or less aggressive. So um, I at the end of the day, it's going to go back to making pitches and executing, but just looking for a little subtle nuance that might help me further excel at being a bullpen guy because I really don't have a ton of experience doing it.
For sure. So obviously this season, the big news, no fans are going to be in the stands. The Tribe has experimented a little bit rather with pumping some of that crowd noise in, pumping John Adams' drum in. What's the reaction to that been in the clubhouse, and how do you personally feel about that?
It's more white noise to us, honestly. I'm sure it's kind of off-putting for fans or media members, but to us, it's just white noise. Like it's something that we're so accustomed to, and for simple things like we were throwing live batting practices against our hitters. They said that they could hear the catcher move in or out, so they had a better idea of if the ball was going to be inside or outside, and kind of gotta look for that. So it's going to take some of that away, which is great because as a pitcher, I think we very clearly just saw what happens when a hitter knows what's coming. It's a big scandal in baseball, if you will. So to have some of that white noise just kind of block it all out for us, it's actually nice. I haven't noticed it just because, like I said, it's so accustomed to what we do.
So the other big news here in Cleveland and also going on in Washington is the team name. So the other day, I know you guys had the big kind of hodgepodge, aired out meeting about the team name with the ownership, with the players, coaches, everybody was in there. What was that meeting like for you?
It was very good. Mr. Dolan was very kind to come down and speak to us and explain to us where we're at in the process. So I can answer questions like this a little bit better with a better understanding. And so it was very good. There was definitely some um, players who voiced their opinions that it might be time. He even said, as he did in his statement today, that he's looking into it. He doesn't want to make a rash decision, and I don't blame him at all. Um, the Cleveland Indians have been a staple of this city just as much as any building or just as much as anything that is Cleveland. So I think it's smart for him to take his time. I think it's the right thing to get educated by Native American tribes and civic leaders, and hopefully the end goal is that we do come to a new name that doesn't make people uncomfortable and honors the city as well.
For sure. So we had Delino DeShields on the Monday show, right? And he said he would kind of like to see the team do something goofy like what they do with the minor leagues and what they do with some colleges. As a guy that played for a team called the Rubber Ducks, do you have anything that's kind of crazy that's kind of out there off the top of your head?
I don't know. I thought I saw something that said the Cleveland Rocks, and I thought that would be funny to have the Rockies and then the Rocks, not like rock as in like a stone, but rocks as like a guitar. So I just thought that would be funny to have the Rockies and then the Rocks. So no, I don't really have a great name for you if I'm being completely honest.
All right, that's fine. I have one for you, and I'll see what you think about this. I thought of the Cleveland hairdos, right? So we have Frankie with the blue. We have Jose. He's the one that really seems like he kind of started the whole trend. Maybe the Cleveland Barbers for Clev and Simber.
Yeah.
Who's got the
Yeah,
best
and
hair
then
on the team?
well, Tito's bald, and half of our coaching staff is bald. So I think something to do with a hairdo would be pretty awesome. And just to have Tito have to wear something about being a barber with no hair, it seems fitting.
That'll be funny. So, last question for you before I get you out of here. Obviously, the foundation is doing a lot of great stuff in our area, a lot of the audience's area. How can people find and follow what you guys are up to here?
You can find us on social media, both on Instagram and Twitter. I believe we're on Facebook as well. If not, we'll be up soon. Um, so Plutko Family Partners, if you search that, you'll be able to find us. And please follow us. We're trying to do a lot of good for Cleveland, and we've kept it very open ended. We're not a very targeted, foundation. We want to help as many people as we possibly can, and so yeah, we like I said, we have some things in the works that we're experimenting with what we're going to do for season, and we still have some more Buffalo Wild Wings gift certificates to hand out. So we're excited with where we're going with it.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody make sure you follow that. It's on Twitter first, at Plut. Great stuff there from Cleveland Indians. Now we know he's a Cleveland Indians reliever, Adam Plutko. Great stuff. Definitely got me pumped up for the season. He said some really interesting stuff in there, all the way from the 60-game sprint and how that's going to affect the Tribe, all the way to some interesting stuff for the name change. So let's start to get into some of that and talk about renaming the Cleveland Indians, because that's probably the next step that's going to happen for this ownership group, for this fan base. And might I add that this is going to be the biggest decision, the biggest single-hand decision that the Dolan ownership will have ever made in their tenure in Cleveland. Obviously, you have some other big decisions coming up with the Francisco Lindor trade. Do you pay him? Do you try to give him a, hometown? We'll give you 6 years if you give us a little bit of, give you more money if you only do 6, or we'll give you 11 or 12 years if you take a good chunk of change cut out of that. What matters most to Lindor? They got some decisions coming up, but none greater than the name change. Like Adam Plutko said, he put out a statement, did Mr. Dolan, this week, stating that the Tribe is completely unclear right now with what they're going to do with the name. They're going to meet with some Native American tribes, with some other civic groups, to explain to them exactly what's in a name, what's in the name Indians. Obviously, it is to honor, supposedly, Louis Alexis, who was the first Major League Native American player, but the team name isn't called the Cleveland Native Americans. It's called the Cleveland Indians, and Louis Alexis himself didn't identify as an Indian. So that's where things kind of get lost in translation. And to me, joining me now, I'm at the point where you got to change it, right? You went this far to put out an investigation of the name. Now you're going to be talking to some of the groups of Native Americans around Cleveland. How dumb is it going to look if you turn around and say, Indians, nothing wrong with that, we're keeping it? Like, it's going to look a little bit dumb. And then I think that's when Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, and some of the partners, Progressive Field, they're, like I said, guys, their lease is up in 3 years. They've definitely got some pull here. Sherwin-Williams always has a lot of pull. So that's definitely something to be on the lookout for. I think we're at the point, though, that it's got to change. And speaking of change, we saw that the Washington Redskins did the same thing. Tribe kind of followed suit. Obviously, theirs is a lot different situation because their sponsors already threatened to pull, where the Indians are trying to more lead by example per se, and I think that's definitely a good thing. However, the Washington Redskins' big news this week was they had a little rebrand of their own, if you will, and they will now be known as the Washington Football Club. So they're going to stay burgundy and gold for their colors, but everything else is going to change. Their Twitter name has already changed. Their football jerseys will no longer say Redskins on the front of them. Now, keep in mind, folks, this is after Daniel Snyder denied wholeheartedly that they would ever consider changing the name. So name change in Washington is imminent, and it's happened already because they will be the Washington Football Club this season. So the jersey just says Washington real big across the nameplate, across the chest plate rather, and then the players' numbers will be on the side of their head, which I always think is a cool thing. Kind of college, kind of Bama, but I like it. Now, here's where I'm going to go a little bit left on you guys, and I'm not sure if everybody's going to like this that's listening. The Tribe should have done the same exact thing. And I know it's late because first pitch is here in about 30 minutes. So I know they can't just guns a-blazing, take Indians off of everything. We're going just Cleveland across the front, here on out, rest of the way. Not happening, guys. They still got those red uniforms with the script Indians on them. They should have been the Cleveland Baseball Club this year. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking about that as a future name, and that's a future name that I could get behind because I think it's kind of cool. And I hear the complaints behind it of, it's kind of soccer, and, it reminds me of MLS and this and that. Why? If it's Cleveland Baseball Club, Slider could stick around, right? The hot dogs take a little bit of a bigger role, right? You got ketchup, mustard, onion, relish. They kind of move into the limelight a little bit more because especially with Chief Wahoo gone, the hot dogs should be the hot commodity as is. I don't mind Cleveland Baseball Club, and I definitely think that it probably should have been done this year. If you care as much as you say you care about the Native American groups and things of that nature, it would have been the Cleveland Baseball Club this season, which reminds me of something. So I spoke with Sundance, who is in charge of the Cleveland Native American movement, is what it's called. It's AIM for short. And he kind of just walked me through this whole pigeonhole of a situation that Cleveland fans have found themselves in. And it's not in a sense that they care that the name is Indians, right? That in and of itself isn't horribly racist like the term Redskins are towards their people. What they're upset about is the monetary side of things, that the Dolan family and the Indians' partners, for that matter, are making money off of their wronged heritage. That's where things all get lost and all get messy. And that's what they're working so hard to change. And I'm going to push to see if I could have Sundance on in the coming weeks and explain it a little bit better than I did, because he really broke it down for me. That's great. And you could search that article on my Twitter. Something about Chief Wahoo, still a Cleveland legend before MLB All-Star Game. It's all on there. It's a great feature story. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out. But I'm siding with them, man. It's time. It's got to change. And these other teams aren't exempt. I see so much that, well, the Blackhawks, they need to change, right? All these Native American groups. What I think could be cool is if somebody gave the Native American groups a helping hand, a little bit like the Florida State Seminoles do, in partnering with that Seminole tribe, saying, hey, we have your name, here's a little bit of money. I think that is a neat idea if they were to keep the name Indians, which sounds like it's not out of the cards, as in Paul Dolan's statement today, is a name change isn't, definite. It's not definitely happening. That was never announced. But to me personally, if I'm running the Indians, which thank God I'm not, but if you walk into the desk on the corner of Carnegie and Ontario and the nameplate in front of it said Nick Padone on it, it would not be named the Indians this year. I'm avoiding that headache. And even more so, Cleveland baseball deserves to be controversy-free. And we saw so much controversy around Chief Wahoo in 2016, throughout the playoff push, throughout the World Series push. Obviously, the Indians in that were the underdogs. So we were the cool story, right? Cubs, Indians. Two teams that haven't been to the World Series in God knows how long. Two teams that haven't won them in God knows how long. It was a huge deal then. The protests outside of the stadium were huge, and they still go on. Well, obviously not now with coronavirus and fans in the stands, but as I'm saying, the controversy, it would be so nice to just enjoy a team with no controversy, wouldn't it? Do you all care that much? The folks that still want the name I'll always call it the Indians. I hear so much of that. Why? Don't you just want to be able to sit down and watch your favorite team? It doesn't creep into the back of your head a little bit like, oh, the name's going to change eventually, and we're going to have to do a whole rebrand, and the uniforms are going to look a whole lot different, so I'm not sure if I want to splurge the money and buy one this year. I think it'll be a lot easier to be a Tribe fan with a different name. So let's get into some of those names, because that's something that has been a hot debate on the Twitter world, in the sports universe, is what do you rename the Cleveland Indians? Same thing going on in Washington. What do you name the Washington Redskins? They kind of seem to be narrowed a little bit more down. They're going to keep something red, maybe Red Tails, maybe Red Wolves. But the Cleveland Indians. Now, obviously, people know the history. They were named a million other things before they were ever named the Indians. And then that's the name that they stuck with for God knows how long now. So there's a few names for blasts from Cleveland past that we need to get into. And the first one, let's get right into it, that Adam Plutko said that he liked, that he thought would be kind of neat, is the Cleveland Rocks. Now, I hate that because he said too, he was like, not actual rocks as in stones, rocks as in a guitar. Well, that makes a lot of sense, but how do you put that in a logo? You know what I mean? Like that's all too much to do. And I know that they're itching to do something with a guitar logo, right? We all get that urge, that sense. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is only 15 minutes away. We got to do something with a guitar. You don't have to do something with a guitar. The Cleveland Rocks is weird. It reminds me of Squidward's house, for you guys that are also young enough to know that SpongeBob reference. I don't like the Cleveland Rocks. Well, then that brings you down the pigeonhole of the Cleveland Rockers. Well, that's already a failed experiment because the WNBA, that's too overdone. I'm so sick of the rock and roll theme. Like, can't the Indians, the Cleveland Baseball Club, have their own thing? Like the Indians in this city have been just as much tradition, like Plutko says, as any building, as any LeBron mural, as any memory or game at First Energy Stadium. People in Cleveland love the Indians. So why would we name them after a WNBA team that already exists, it already failed, it went under? Why do that? I don't think that's really worth it. So then you got the Cleveland Guardians. That's kind of cool, kind of hip. I've seen some of the designs on that already. If you're unfamiliar, when you drive into the city, sometimes, depending on which way you come into the city, you will see these gigantic guardians. Now, if you drive into the city the way that I usually drive into the city, you do not see these gigantic guardians. So I'm going to go ahead and cross that off the list because some people who live here don't even know that those gigantic guardian pillars even exist. So that's off my list too. Then you got the Cleveland Blues, which I kind of liked at first, even though it's stealing from the St. Louis Blues, which is a hockey team that already exists. So then I got that in the back of my head, right? And I'm like, I don't really want to steal from a team that already exists. You know, I don't want to be the Cleveland, let me think of it, the Cleveland Penguins, and take away from what Pittsburgh has going. Or I didn't want to double dip, or the Cleveland Thunder from what OKC has going. Oklahoma City is another example. I don't want to do that. That's lame. The Blues already exist. If you want to get a shirt that says Blues on it, there's a million of them. Google them. And it's for St. Louis, the hockey team. That name already exists. And then you think a little bit further. You think of Blues. That's depressing. The Cleveland Blues? I'm out on that. Isn't Brown season blue enough for you guys? You guys are so down about the Indians, my rant in the first segment, and you want to name the team the Blues? Not having that one either. So then we get to the Cleveland Broncos or Bronchos, like what they were called way back when, before cameras even existed. And I'm like, that's cool. Also stealing from the Denver Broncos, and way too John Elway for this city. I like Broncos as a baseball team name. That's awesome. Broncos is cool. I love when Denver does the throwback helmets with the crazy looking Bronco kicking up in the back. That's cool. That's unique. That's like something tough mascot that you could get behind. Slider, of course, is staying in all of this, but Slider could, befriend some sort of big, beefy horse Bronco. That'd be cool. Obviously, Ford could maybe hop on board. Little marketing opportunity there with their new Broncos coming back. But for me, way too John Elway for this city. And then we go way back until the Cleveland Forest Cities. Now, I don't know anybody that's 120 years old, but when is the last time you have ever heard anyone refer to Cleveland as the Forest City? Because I've never heard that in my whole life, and I've lived in Cleveland my whole life, and I've followed the sports scene here pretty closely throughout my whole life, and never once have I ever heard anyone refer to the city of Cleveland as the Forest City. Now, maybe that's because I don't know that many 120-year-olds or what, but also that's way too long of a name. Imagine Forest Cities. That would wrap around the whole jersey. I hate the idea of it. The logo would probably be some kind of stupid tree that would remind me of Trailer Park Boys or, I can't do that. No, Forest Cities, I'm out. Too old, way too long. And I just hate it. I don't think of a name. If they name it the Forest Cities, I will lose my mind because that is the lamest name. I get that back in the day, that name was probably hip, right? You were throwing everybody in the old carton buggy to hop on your horse to go watch the Cleveland Forest Cities. That was probably cool, man. That was hip. That's when you were paying 10 cents a ticket. But you can count me out on that for now. So that pulls me all the way down to the Cleveland Spiders. And there's so much to get into with the Cleveland Spiders because you talk to some people and they're all in on it, right? They're like, oh, the Cleveland Spiders, man, that's pretty cool. You could do the Block C with the, everybody on Twitter that has Photoshop or has even MS Paint has designed their own version of the Cleveland Spiders logo of the Block C, which is trademarked already, with the 4 spider legs coming out of each side. You guys aren't that unique. And even though that's probably what the logo would end up being, and it would be cooler than what it is now, okay, you're not as creative as you think. So many people love it. So many people hate it. And I'm going to tell you why I love it right here. I hate to do this to you guys. I love it. I'm on the Spiders. I'm on the Spiders bandwagon, baby. Change the name right now. So, everybody talks about it. Spiders. In 1899, they went 20 and 124. 20 and 124. That's horrible. Their record, garbage. Their team, even worse. And that was after they gutted their best players and sent them all the way to the team that the owner owned. So the owner owned 2 teams, and he sent all of the good players from the Spiders to his other team to compete with for championships there. So obviously now that couldn't happen because Paul Dolan doesn't own the Cleveland Indians and the New York Yankees, and he's not going to take Mike Clevenger, Shane Bieber, and Corey Kluber and ship them there. So that's kind of out the window, and that's kind of a little bit of back history on why they were that awful that year. And to even prove that they were pretty good before that bonehead owner did that, they won the Temple Cup, which is the equivalent of the World Series trophy, in 1895, just a few years before. So, if you're keeping track at home, everybody pull out the calculators, do my math, check it on this. You guys know me, not that great at math. That's why I'm hosting a podcast. The Spiders have won championship in the last 13 years. One championship, 13 years, not bad. Indians, 2 championships in 105 years, and none since 1948, which was the same year that Babe Ruth died. So, again, Spiders, 1 championship, 13 years. Indians, 2 championships, 105 years. Now, the name change is already sounding better, isn't it? If that doesn't ice off the cake for you, think of the cool logos. I know I was just ragging on Twitter a little bit a second ago. You could do something awesome with a web, though. I know you guys all want to see the spider legs. You MS Paint graphic designers. Imagine how cool a web would be on the sleeve. That'd be tremendous. So just a web, no Block C, just a web. That'd be cool. You could even you could keep the colors. I know a lot of people are attached to the colors. You could keep red and blue, or you could change. I personally would go like black and white. Kind of cool. You would have the coolest stadium signs. I always loved how the Indians, the S kind of wraps around. You could still do that with the Spiders to have a little bit of the tradition left in there and have the Spiders S wrap around the rest of the word. And you could put that up in Progressive Field in the lights on the big display. That'd be awesome. Cool uniforms. Progressive Field took on so much heat and still does, might I add. You saw me in the video with Adam Plutko wearing my shirt that said the Jake. People, it'll always be Jacob Stadium to me. It'll always be the Jake. You want to go to the Jake? Grab a few brews at the Jake tonight. Hear me out. Progressive Field. You can't call it the Prague. You can't call it the Field. That's kind of weird. You call it the Web. How cool would that be? Let's go check a game out at the Web. Everybody's into that. I love it. You should love it. The numbers speak for themselves. And I know people always bring up, well, they weren't too good in 1899. And when the Tribe changes the name, you'll have the big smart guy in the room telling you, well, really, when they were the Spiders before, it didn't go too hot. And I want you guys to all bring up, yeah, well, good old Uncle Nick told me in 1895, they actually won the Temple Cup. And I'll let you know that's the equivalent to the World Series. So in 13 years, they won a World Series. And in 105 years, the Indians, only 2. And none since 1948. And I know nobody watching this was alive to see that World Series in 1948. We're all hungry for it. We're all thirsty for it. It's going to happen soon. Hopefully, could be this year under the team name Indians. But if not, you guys heard it. I just casted my vote. Cleveland Spiders all the way. So, I need to get into this to close the show out because this to me is just unbelievable. So, J.R. Smith, man, you got to love him. You got to love him. And I know people, forgetting the score stuff and this and that. I'll choose to remember J.R. Smith as hitting the 2 clutch threes to bring the Cavs, right back into Game 7. I'll always remember that. More importantly, I will remember J.R. Parade. No shirt, on standing up, high-fiving fans, Cavs hat on, cigar in mouth. That's how I choose to remember JR. Cleveland legend. Also, basketball legend. I was watching the Lakers scrimmage, and he, is up there in playoff three-pointers made. Just a heads up. He's a little bit better. J.R. Smith is a little bit better than what folks on NBA credit him for. But he's out of line. So in a recent interview, Lakers guard J.R. Smith said he only packed 7 pairs of underwear to take to the Disney bubble. And obviously he was just signed, late addition to the Lakers, was announced when Avery Bradley announced that he was not going to be playing in the bubble. Lakers pick up J.R. Smith, who only packs 7 pairs of underwear to take on a long trip. My first thing, and you could tweet the show at Padone My Take, at Nick Padone 12, how many pairs of underwear do you need to pack for a trip? To me, it depends on the length of said trip. So if I'm going on a trip like the Disney bubble, where I'm there indefinitely. Now, mind you, I also play on a team with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Pretty good team. A lot of analysts are saying could do some pretty impressive things coming up here soon. Maybe make a little bit of a run. Maybe hoist another Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of it. Maybe. I'd pack a lot of underwear. The whole drawer I would have packed had I known I was going to the Disney bubble. JR, no. He only packed 7 pairs. When you go on vacation, you got to pack underwear like you plan on crapping your pants every day of that trip. You can't go into a vacation cocky. If it's a 6-day trip and you bring 6 pairs of underwear, you're a psychopath. Especially if you're staying at a hotel where there's laundry service is questionable. You are a psychopath. When you go on vacation, you need to pack so many underwear that you're going to have the worst diarrhea that you've ever had in your life. It's imperative. You have to do it. You have to pack that much underwear. And J.R. Smith only packed 7 pairs. So a long, indefinite trip, JR, you got to pack the whole drawer. And now he needs to order more, right? Because it's unacceptable. It's out there. I'm talking about it here at 6:50 p.m. The Tribe's about to start. I'm talking about J.R. Smith's underwear. Now that the whole world knows about it, you got to hop on Amazon. You got to hop on PSD. Neither a sponsor of the show yet. And you need to order some drawers, dude, because you cannot be rocking in Disney with 7 pairs of underwear. That's unacceptable. And he said the reason how this came up was Allie Clifton, who used to work here in Cleveland, asked him, what's one thing you wish you packed more of, JR? And he said underwear. Because with all the stuff he's been doing, he's been golfing, he's been out in that Florida heat sweating, and he's been having to have the laundry done all the time. I'm like, dude, that's disgusting. You got to do your underwear. You got to pack more. So that leads me down the gigantic pigeonhole of maybe all time. And that is, are the players doing their own laundry in the bubble? Right? I imagine LeBron having to ask Dwight Howard, hey, dude, you done with that dryer? I need to throw my stuff in there, my underwear that I packed enough of, my socks. I got to throw it in there. So it leads me down this big thing. And they're not actually doing their own laundry. I hate to break it to you guys. It's not like the scenario in my head. The gear guys are coming in and doing their laundry. So that's what makes this all the worse. Because the Lakers team equipment guy has to come scoop up JR's sweaty, dirty underwear and take him to the laundry room and do it all. That's disgusting. Don't make that guy do that. Get on Amazon and order more underwear. That made me so mad. So let's get you back into some Tribe talk before we round out this show. Going into this, baby, the MLB agreed on a 16-team playoff. Woo, I'll say that again. 16 teams are going to be in this bad boy. I think that helps the Tribe a ton. I didn't have the chance to ask Adam Plutko about that, but I think it helps out the Indians a lot. Even if there's a shocking midseason trade, even if Lindor or Clev is gone in some kind of fire sale, I still like it. 16-team playoff. That's going to help the Tribe, and I'm not trading Lindor yet. He's here under contract until he's an unrestricted free agent in 2022. That's when I worry about this. Right now, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm selling all the Lindor jerseys that I can, and I am making the push for the 60-game expanded playoffs with my 5 starters that look really good, most of them young kids that are still going to be here under contract. I'm making my push now with Lindor under contract. And that's going to lead me here into my final take. I want you guys to have enough time to go pull those hot dogs off the grill, to go get that brew in your hand, and to get ready to watch these Cleveland Indians here as they take on the Kansas City Royals at home at 7:10. I believe that guy is on Sports Time Ohio tonight, but check your local listings for that. My final take of the week, and I will be doing another final take on Wednesday. Full disclosure. There's too much talent on this Cleveland Indians roster for this team to mail it in like we saw last year. And I know the Minnesota Twins were a damn good baseball team, and they won a hell of a lot of games, and so did the Cleveland Indians. But to fall flat on your face in that wild card chase last year was downright embarrassing. And I know they've been plagued by injuries the last few years, and that certainly hasn't helped anything. And I know it seems at times that the fans turn against them. And I told you at the top of the hour, at the beginning of the show, why you shouldn't turn against them this season. Because this year, the cards for once are in your favor. You're going into the season with everybody healthy. They should be in the best condition that they've ever been in. They were planning on starting the season months ago. You had such a long break. The Cleveland Indians need to not fold up like a lawn chair like what we saw last year and go out there, win the damn division. I don't care that it's a 16 team. Win the division, go win the playoffs, and go win the whole dang thing. We're living in a global pandemic. The name could change. This could be the last year of so many people in this city's favorite athlete possibly ever for the younger audience. Go out there and win it this year and make this season a memorable one. That's all I got for you guys. It's going to be some sloppy baseball. Get used to it. 40 wins is going to win the division. Cleveland Indians, go out there and win it. Thank you guys for watching so much. This has been the first episode of Padone My Take. If you liked it, if you hated it, give me a follow on Twitter at NickPadone12. I'm going to be in this same studio Wednesday night hosting a brand new, fresh off the burner episode for you. So you're not going to want to miss that. Huge shout out to Adam Plutko as well. Go follow him on Twitter at PapaPlut09. Make sure to follow the organization as well. He's doing some great stuff here right in our area, right in our backyard at Papa Plut09, at Plut Fam Partners on Twitter. Padone My Take, presented by BigPlay.com. Thank you guys so much. See ya.